Hello and welcome to the Nexus Gaming series. I am the Crushinator, and tonight I am bringing you a Division D East matchup between the Devil's Rejects and a team called Poseidon. I usually have the text right there to help me out, and I just missed it. The Devil's Rejects will be taking on Poseidon tonight in an excellent best-of-3 matchup. Glad you're all here, checking out the cast, checking out this this great event that we're all a part of. See everyone in chat there. Traxix, Nugs, Crinitix, Euronymous is here. You're all having a fantastic time. I think we've got 10 in our lobby. Look at that. Look at that. We've got our 10 players. We'll let them know Caster is ready. And we should have our first game shortly. We'll give us a moment to look at the bans here. The map bans, that is. The Devil's Rejects banning away Battlefield of Eternity and Dragonshire, and Poseidon banning out Braxis Holdout and Tomb of the Spider Queen. The Devil's Rejects are going to be taking us to Alterac Pass here for game number 1. Not a very favored map amongst the NGS in general. It is very large. There's, you've got to make sure you bring that pseudo offlaner. You've got to have someone in charge of that camp. It's up every 90 seconds. That's a lot to deal with. But we'll see how these teams want to stack it up as we're going to get into our first draft here. Alterac Pass is underway. Chi-Town Sinister. Nugs again. Hope you're all having a great day today. When I think Alterac Pass, I think Deathwing. I don't know about you guys, but Deathwing, some good off-lane push, able to jump onto those often crowded points. Do some good work, though. Since the Falstad buffs, Falstad was already good on this map due to the double bosses, the global, having that sort of control and presence around the map. And with Falstad getting the changes that he got recently, I'm expecting Falstad to be a high commodity between our two squads. But, some teams just, they've got their heroes and they want to stick with them. We'll see if anyone's jumped on the train yet or if they are set in their ways, as Sonya going to be the first ban here from Poseidon. Sonya's kind of running up the charts here. Sonya's always sort of silently been a good offlane matchup. Never really lost all that much, but never really had all that much going for her. And there's little buffs over time and little changes in the meta. And Sonya's kind of becoming a force to be reckoned with. So I would expect to see a lot more Sonya played and some Sonya bans as we move through this season 11 here. Mephisto will be banned out by the Devil's Rejects. Alterac Pass is one that can go a little bit late, where Mephisto starts to really gain that power. We'll see what Poseidon is thinking here. There's the Falstad ban, so taking out that newly powerful global here is Poseidon. So that they're banning the Falstad from the first position tells me that they weren't interested in picking it up, or they've got something even higher priority in mind, possibly given this matchup. Only one ban left. There's some DPS taken off the board, one solo laner. We'll see what the Devil's Rejects is going to favor here. Whether it is the Hogger, whether it's something else. It's going to be a Rhaegar taken out, actually. Rhaegar has some particular power here on Alterac Pass just because of how he can hold down a lane and take camps fairly effectively. If you can get your healer to be able to do one of those two roles here on Alterac Pass, that really opens up your ability to swap people in and out of lanes and rotate a little more easily on such a demanding map. D.Va, going to be the first pick here from Urdog. D.Va just generally strong overall. Hard to go wrong with the pick. We'll have to see if the Devil's Rejects pick up anything that could possibly harass the D.Va. Malfurion is a possibility. Malfurion got some very interesting changes recently. It is more of a classic counter to the D.Va. Not going with that, though. Zul'jin and Lucio going to be picked up here by Soldier of God and Lunatic. Not Zeratul, but Zul'jin and Lucio. Interesting setup here for Zul'jin. The players, if there's long fights over the objective, Zul'jin will have the opportunity to get an awful lot of stacks Though the map being very spread out and there not being really very many rotations possible, Zul'jin may be a little starved in the early game. We'll have to see how these two teams want to play around it. Penetrator is going to lock in the Anduin, and Rix will be playing the Cassia here for Poseidon. Having that blind to try to lock out the Zul'jin from some of those auto attacks can definitely do some work. Anduin going to be there with the Leap of Faith saves. Maybe some fancy plays with that bomb, depending on what happens. Johanna going to be the ban here from the Devil's Rejects, trying to lock away an extra blind combo that's often chosen alongside that Cassia. One blind combo that people often forget about is Mei. Mei blinds nearly as frequently, if not more frequently, than Johanna, and is a very nice pairing alongside Cassia. We'll see if Poseidon is interested in that one. Next ban, coming through from Poseidon, they see the Lucio, they see the Zul'jin. They do not want to see a Diablo alongside that. Diablo can definitely do some good work into Cassia. Just any sort of stun route that stops Cassia from moving for a time takes away that 30 armor and makes Cassia a lot easier to kill. So, next two picks here. So far, the Devil's Rejects don't really have anyone who can really work that camp, but Sylvanas does change that. Not the Merc camper of old, but Sylvanas can definitely still do some work on that back camp. So Symbolic going to be picking that up, and Satan Saves will lock in the ETC here. Taking a look over at the side of Poseidon, not really any big interrupts for the mosh pit here. We'll see if they pick any up. Anduin can get one save from a mosh pit. So far, nothing to deal with that, though with such a big map as Alterac Pass, it could just be the stage dive coming on out here. Raynor and Muradin here from Le Dieu Pew Pew and Sketch. Well, Muradin can interrupt it from the edge of that mosh. Raynor can push back as well, so they've got a couple of answers there. I'm assuming Raynor picks up the Exterminator here to help with that back camp, so we've got ourselves a comp here over on the side of the Poseidon. They've got everything they should need here for Alterac Pass. We'll see what Hebrew Hammer is going to pick up. It's going to be the Urel here for the Devil's Rejects. Alrighty. Looking at these two comps, I'd say the Devil's Rejects probably have a little bit better boss control, though Muradin has a way of just sticking on those points for a long period of time. This should be an interesting matchup. It's going to be all about the Zul'jin here. Poseidon can deny Zul'jin stacks in the early game, move around the map, and just scale into the late game while Zul'jin is left behind. They're going to be at a serious advantage. However, if the fights start to go long and Zul'jin starts to stack up those autos, Poseidon could be in trouble here. We'll see how this matches up as we load on into our first game. And here we go. On the left in the blue, we have the Devil's Rejects. With Hebrew Hammer on the Urel, Satan Saves is playing the ETC. Symbolic going to be on the Sylvanas. Soldier of God is on that Zul'jin. And Lunatic playing the Lucio. On the right in the red, we have Poseidon with Urdog on the Diva. Rix is going to be playing that Cassia. Sketch on the Muradin. Le Dieu Pew Pew on the Raynor. Penetrator is on the Anduin. Game number 1 is underway here on Alterac Pass. Looking for those level 1 quests. Cassia going to be working on that Thunder Fury Q quest, scaling that up throughout the game here. Diva's talents will show up in a moment as the UI catches up a little bit. Diva already up to the top lane here for Poseidon, not wanting to give away any Zul'jin stacks if at all possible. Looks like Poseidon is going to stay back a little bit here. Keep your hammer actually getting the knockback onto Sketch. That's going to be a couple of autos for Soldier of God. And going to land onto Raynor as well. Urel headed off to the top lane here. We'll have to see. It's probably going to be Cassia versus Sylvanas. Down in that bottom lane as Symbolic is cutting off those rotations. Nice slide there by Satan Saves. Going to be countered by Sketch for just a moment. Cassia manages to leak away here, and Symbolic gonna head on down to match. Camps are up here, so Sylvan is actually going to this back camp. Has not headed down to grab any of this bottom lane XP. Lucio's helping out this back camp as well, and we can start to see it. Minion XP is really leaning towards Poseidon in the early going. I think Satan Saves got here soon enough to capture a lot of this XP, but there's still a little bit that went away there. Right now we've got Muradin trying to help out on this back camp, and Raynor actually going with the veteran marksman on one, so will not be able to solo these camps. Gonna have to help out. Going to need some help, I should say. A Soldier of God rotating through and getting a lot of autos off on Rix here. Great start coming in for Zul'jin and the rest of the Devil's Rejects. Both teams picking up their camps roughly at the same time here. Good macro start for our squads. As we see Yrel rotating on down to try to help this clear. Right now we've got a 3v2 for Poseidon in the bottom lane. Satan Saves and Soldier of God just trying to hang out. Grab this XP at the wall while the mid lane is cleared and pushed in. Meanwhile, D.Va's taking this wave all the way up to the wall here. Yrel gonna leap on over. The boosters for D.Va are available. Muradin come around for a flank here, gonna be pushed back by Lucio, and now here's the slide from Satan Saves as well. Quite the siege on this mid wall from the Devil's Rejects. Erdog gonna slide on through, came on down to try to help this clear. But this wall is almost completely gone right off of this first camp. Some pretty good value there for the Devil's Rejects. D.Va headed on up to the top lane to try to match this soak. Prisoners are starting to spawn down here in the bottom lane. We often see teams try to delay and get that camp a second time, try to wait for level 7s before heading on over to the objective. We'll have to see if there's any deviation in that standard plan. D.Va trying to interrupt these Yrel rotations for now. Hand of Freedom able to let Hebrew Hammer move on up there with a relative ease. Back camp now being worked on by the Devil's Rejects. Looks like Poseidon is going to move on back and start up the camp of their own. Devil's Rejects a little bit ahead of the game when it comes to this camp macro, which does scale into that late game. As long as the Devil's Rejects get back there and pick up that camp every 90 seconds, they'll never fall behind on that XP gain. And they now have level 7s for both squads. Satan Saves trying to get away from these minions for a moment. See if Poseidon can get these interrupts. D.Va's still trying to clear the mid lane. Satan Saves taking a ton of damage there as Rix goes in with the fend. Hebrew Hammer there for the peels. Now D.Va coming around the outside. Lucio actually got the channel, but Poseidon is going to go ahead and cap it right back. Erdog could be in some trouble here. Gets popped out of that mech, but Yrel going to be the first to fall. First true kill going over to Poseidon onto the offlaner of the Devil's Rejects. Nice target fire there. Yrel is a tough one to kill, especially through that Dauntless into a team like Cassia Raynor. But enough target fire was enough to take down the Paladin. Poseidon so far, could be looking for Soldier of Greed here. Manages to dodge the Stormbolt, but not enough. Zul'jin taken out by a heavy rotation from Poseidon. Symbolic and Lunatic trying to clear out this mid-wave. Poseidon is going to move up and start to channel this objective. See whether they can hold it for the 30 seconds required. Zul'jin still down for another 2 seconds. Satan Saves with a big slide across the backline. Looks like D.Va may be demeched once again here. It is starting to move back. Hebrew Hammer jumping onto the Dieu Pew Pew. And the channel is once again stopped after 10 seconds. At this point, heading back to this back camp is going to be the play. We see the Devil's Rejects have the same thought. And it could be these teams are just going to go ahead and wait for level 10s before moving on to that objective once again. They're both at about level 9 here, so they're not far off. D.Va going to grab this big wave up top. Now, not going to wait. The Devil's Rejects are moving ahead to try to get this channel. Going to be one interrupt by Le Dieu Pew Pew. Penetrator's going to get the next one. D.Va moving back to the mid for this soak. Lunatic trying to get the channel. Hebrew Hammer not going to get hit by that split on the Lightning Fury. So now the channel's going over to the Devil's Rejects. Poseidon is moving up there. Sketch going to jump right onto 4 as Hebrew Hammer jumping back there in kind. Sylvanas and D.Va still battling it out in the mid. So Zul'jin could be in trouble here. The last Q from Raynor going to be enough to secure the kill onto Zul'jin as Symbolic is wailing away onto Sketch. There's the Light Bomb coming in here. Snap 10s for the side of Poseidon, and they pick up the extra kill. It's going to be a triple coming on through from Poseidon. However, the Devil's Rejects extend that fight for long enough to pick up the first prison camps of the game, which are called Raiders, of course. Here come the Ram Riders into all 3 lanes. Nice slide there onto Cassia. Cassia trying to move back with that avoidance 30 armor. Lunatic is moving across. Has the Q, but Rix is going to survive. Devil's Rejects have their level 10s. Checking in on ETC. It is going to be the mosh pit here. Rix once again caught out by the boot combo. Mosh pit from Satan Saves is only going to land onto Sketch. So Murden going to be just fine there. They were trying to catch. Oh no, Cassia's caught by the mind control. After several attempts here. Oh, Sketch is going to go down as well. The big double kill unexpectedly from the Devil's Rejects. Great use of resources there. Committed the Lucio ult, they committed the mosh pit, it didn't work. But then the mind control comes in and leads to a double kill, and this is going to be quite the push going on in the bottom lane. The other 2 lanes have been cleared up by Poseidon. But look at the amount of damage this is doing. The keep wall is just being erased by this wave push from the Devil's Rejects. Can Poseidon get out here and turn this around? Anduin is here, Yrel is not. Mind control is going to land onto Cassia, but the Devil's Rejects are just trying to retreat, and it looks like they will be able to do so. So getting a ton of work done there, taking out the entire keep wall before the 9-minute mark here on Alterac Pass. That's a pretty big win for the Devil's Rejects. Both teams now working on their back camps once again. Check the experience tab. They're both still even there. So after the objective push, Poseidon has come a little bit more even with this camp. Their clear is slightly slower, but they're on about the same rhythm with this camp now. Murden counter-soaking down in the bottom lane, trying to make sure level 13 is here for Poseidon. And there it is. Camp's going to meet in the middle here. D.Va uses the boosters to escape the barbs of Sylvanas. Somehow these camps have gotten mixed up. I guess it's the Lucio boop, so I was like, why is the blue camp on the right side and the red camp on the left side? But I guess some knockbacks from Lucio will do that. Checking in on Soldier of God. Right now only 10 out of 30 on that quest, so had a pretty auspicious start to that level 1, but so far, or, you know, after that, Zul'jin hasn't been able to get quite as many free autos as they'd like as we start scaling into the late game. Poseidon still floating around here. Looking to just defend this mid fort if possible. There's the mind control coming on out. Level 20 not here yet to turn that into a 15-second cooldown, but still at 40 seconds. Mind control can be put out on, you know, on less than a sure thing. And you'll still have it back by the next time you have an important engage. No big deal there. Sometimes you just gotta fish for one. Sylvanas on top of this back camp here for the Devil's Rejects, so they're going to try to once again get ahead in the mercenary camp rotations. D.Va trying to use that unstoppable to escape so far, doing well. Satan Saves, slides on through. Is stunned though by Sketch. Looks like Poseidon will not find the picks that they wanted there. And the next objective is up and active. Poseidon has to move back and start working on this camp. They're now pretty late on this, as the camp of the Devil's Rejects is already up to the midpoint. That's going to serve the Devil's Rejects well as we scale into the late game with that camp experience. Wow, with a full camp in this wave empowered by the Mercenary Queen of Sylvanas, this mid-fort could be in trouble here. Poseidon is trying to commit some resources to clearing this out. The mind control is going to land onto Murden. Hebrew with the knockback. Now they have to move up towards the objective, but they're going to leave this mid-fort symbolic, going to throw some damage, and that's going to be mid-fort going over to the Devil's Rejects. Some great counter pressure. And that's what happens when you get to take the camp first. It just gets to advance forward onto those structures and do a ton of work. Left sound barrier coming out from Lucio to keep everyone nice and healthy. Satan saves with a gigantic mosh, actually getting onto 5 eventually. No kills to be had so far. Rix is going in. There's the ball lightning, going to take out the Lucio, but Cassia is traded out for, oh no, so many low health bars on Poseidon. Diva Mech is the next to fall. Legit Pew Pew trying to get away from this Zul'jin, but the killable is enough. Zul'jin finally falls. There goes Pilot Diva. It's a total bloodbath here, 3 for 3. Sketch and Penetrator, the only ones left here for Poseidon. Can they actually deal enough damage to this Sylvanas? Looks like they won't. Once again, through that whole thing, Blue Riders are going to be pushing down the lanes. Look at this bottom lane push. The periodic catapults leading this giant wave. This keep already at half health here. Poseidon, I've been looking pretty decent in fights, but the macro pressure coming out from the well-timed camps, the well-timed building claims from the Devil's Rejects are really starting to show their advantage. Last remaining fort is going to fall up here in the top lane, mid-push onto this keep. Zirel finishes off that top fort. Mid-keep is going to be the focus here for the Devil's Rejects. Murden has to come up, and the bottom push is still very, very healthy, so bottom keep is absolutely in trouble here. Mind Control's going to land onto Raynor. Penetrator with the save. Very nice reactions there from the Anduin. Satan saves is in some trouble here, going to be taken out by the Fend. The tank of the Devil's Rejects is going to fall here, but look at this bottom lane. The Rider is going to go ahead and finish off this keep while the mid was being defended. So we're now at 6 structures to 2 at the 17-17 mark, and the passive experience is going to really start to ramp up for the Devil's Rejects for the rest of this game. Rix is going to go ahead and try to start up this right side camp while Symbolic picks up the left. So far, no priority onto the bosses here from either team. Just trying to stay on top of that, on top of those Null camps. Just as I say that, Poseidon maybe making a play for this top boss. Zul'jin showing in the mid. Poseidon is going to give this a shot. All the members are up here. Possible bottom boss play. Lunatic and Hebrew Hammer are just zoning it out, and they are going to go ahead and start this up. With everyone off the map, they're going to take a guess that Poseidon is doing the top boss, and they would be correct. Boss is going to be picked up there by Poseidon. The clear is going to be enough here so that the Devil's Rejects don't have to worry about a heavy rotation to the bottom lane. So they'll get that pushing. That's going to be moving straight onto core, actually. It's hard to describe whether that's going to be more or less value, because the boss doesn't do a whole ton of damage to the core. It's going to mostly just push the wave in here and create some map pressure. With everyone here to clear, it may not even do that. This top boss, though, is already wailing on this fort. Sylvanas there to shut down the minions, though. This fort should be saved before it can do an awful lot of damage. So really, both teams just taking those threats off the map here. And actually taking longer to clear the boss is Poseidon. So we'll have to see what the Devil's Rejects can do with this time that they've created. We're going to see a rotation down towards this next prison camp spawn. Oh, actually going for a camp invade, moving straight on there. This is a really savvy macro play coming out from the Devil's Rejects. I really like this call. They see that Poseidon is in that bottom lane dealing with that boss, and they take the opportunity to move on in and steal a key piece of experience from the ailing Poseidon here. Back camp for the Devil's Rejects is up and available. You see Poseidon moving across here, trying to get the channel on the objective. Satan saves, was thinking about an interrupt, but thinks better of it. We've still got a 50-second channel here. So plenty of time for the Devil's Rejects to move onto this objective if they need to. Looks like we've got a possible flank coming on in. Zul'jin is really moving on out here. Satan Saves is looking for a possible engage onto the back. We're going to see the slide onto Muradin. Zul'jin comes on down to join the fight, starts to get those auto attacks off. With Pew Pew going to fire away onto Zul'jin, but there's the sound barrier from Lucio. Once again, some big damage onto Satan Saves. Erdog is on the chase here. Yrel is going to heal up with that Ardent Defender. No kills so far. Level 20 has been achieved by the Devil's Rejects. Uh-oh, Symbolic. Oh, manages to avoid the Stormbolt there. Satan Saves, gets the mosh pit in the muck. Raynor gonna go down. Great turnaround there. Unkillable is going to be popped by the Zul'jin, trying to burn down Sketch, but there's the Light Bomb going to land onto 2. Ball Lightning coming out. Poseidon trying to turn this around. Oh no, Muradin and Cassia are going to fall. Penetrator trying to retreat here. The Mind Control lands. Anduin gets hit against the wall and sent to the grave. Boss, or mid lane push, is already moving onto the core as well as this bottom lane, and the Devil's Rejects see this with their quad kill. They're going to move forward and look to end this game. Mind Control not going to quite land onto the D.Va there, but the core is the call. The Devil's Rejects looking strong here in game number 1 macro-wise. Pick up their first victory of the series. GG. Well done there by the Devil's Rejects. Just go ahead and update this. There we go. Taking a quick look at the end score. Pretty even on kills. Poseidon had a strong early go in converting those kills, but unfortunately they just couldn't get enough done off the back of those team fights. Meanwhile, the camp consistency, the off-lane pressure, and the timing coming on out from the Devil's Rejects is enough to pick them up the victory. Very, very nicely done. Symbolic on the Sylvanas, leading the way on hero damage there for the Devil's Rejects. Nearly 57k coming out there, and it was Le Dieu Pew Pew on the Raynor, dealing the 40k damage. Take a quick look at the talent screen for those who are interested. Taking a look myself, not seeing anything too out of the ordinary. Not often that we see the bunny hop here, though into the ETC, I can see that being the call for sure. Having an extra unstoppable on that front line is definitely useful there. Everything else looking pretty standard. Pretty standard. Very good. Alrighty, well, that is game number 1. We're going to be going to a short break, and when we come back, it's going to be game number 2, the Devil's Rejects versus Poseidon. Don't go far. Alrighty, welcome back. We're getting set up here for game number 2. The Devil's Rejects versus Poseidon. Go ahead and let them know that I'm ready to go. If you're just joining us here, we'll remind you of the map bans. Battlefield of Eternity, Dragonshire, Braxis Holdout, and Tomb of the Spider Queen were banned away for this series. The Devil's Rejects choosing and winning Alterac Pass there in game number 1, and now Poseidon has chosen to go to Volskaya Foundry to start their potential reverse sweep here in game number 2. Going to try to claw their way back into this series. Not looking too bad there in game number 1. It wasn't, it wasn't a one-sided affair. Poseidon had their number in a couple of those team fights, some good engages, just a couple of misplays on the macro, a couple of misplays around the objective that, they could find the right way to go here on Volskaya Foundry, so I'm expecting another good matchup here. Looks like we're almost set here in the lobby. Excuse me. Tried to drink a bunch of water on the break. It's letting itself be known. Alrighty. Draft number 2 is underway here on Volskaya Foundry this time. Devil's Rejects will have first pick opportunity. Volskaya Foundry, taking a look at the heroes from last game. Zul'jin can do well, Sylvanas can do well. It's a possible repeat of some of those heroes here from the Devil's Rejects. Meanwhile, for Poseidon, D.Va's always strong. Cassia can generally do some good work. See if there's any difference in strategy. Mephisto, a little bit stronger here on Volskaya, I would say, than Alterac Pass. A lot of people tend to be grouped up in a very predictable place. It's going to remain the ban here for the Devil's Rejects. Poseidon thinking about their next ban here. I would like to see the Zul'jin ban, to be honest. Like, they did a really good job of not letting Zul'jin get mega stacked in that game on Alterac, but it's a lot harder to avoid him on Volskaya. Especially if you pick up one of those objectives and Zul'jin gets to defend it. That's a lot of free stacks you can give up. Sticking with the Sonya ban, though. Sonya just good. Just a good hero. I do recall, I think the last time I saw Hebrew Hammer play, definitely favoring that Sonya. Some good scouting coming on out there. Devil's Rejects, sticking with the Rhaegar ban. This one definitely feels more like a target. Like, Rhaegar makes sense, I think, on Alterac Pass for the macro reasons that I mentioned. But Volskaya Foundry, if you're banning Rhaegar there, it means that the other team's got a Rhaegar player. So that must be a choice here. See what Poseidon wants to lock in for their last ban here. Gonna be the Lucio. So gonna make Lunatic go ahead and play something else here in game number 2. It does leave Falstad on the table. Now, I mean, Volskaya isn't one where globals can make a huge impact. But right now, Falstad's impact is a lot more than just a global. Li Ming, however, going to be the choice here for Soldier of Gods. So Zul'jin up and available, but not chosen. Instead, they're going to go with the Ming. I mean, Li Ming does work on Volskaya Foundry. There's a lot of flank potential on all 3 points. Makes me wonder if the Devil's Rejects are looking to lock in a Diablo and a Deckard here. Those are some good pairings alongside Ming. Falstad is going to fall into the hands of Poseidon here. Rick's picking that up. And Gazlo going to be played by Urdok. It's going to be Johanna Stukov here to pair with the Li Ming for the Devil's Rejects. Interesting choices. I really thought the Deckard was going to come out. This is one of his best maps here. So Stukov is just kind of great overall. So it's hard to knock the choice. It's a little bit more generic, but it's still very strong. Poseidon thinking about their next ban. Possibly a Sylvanas could still come through here. It's going to be the Zul'jin ban. Yeah, I mean, Li Ming Zul'jin is a little bit weak in the wave clear department, but you've got Stukov Johanna already. So you can afford to be a little bit weak in that aspect. Could have definitely been a Zul'jin in the backline. Devil's Rejects, they're looking at a Falstad, they're looking at a Gazlo. That doesn't really tip a lot off as to the comp possibilities of Poseidon. So we'll have to see what the ban is going to be. We're going to ban away the Mal'Ganis here. Mal'Ganis can do well on point control, especially when that blind as a bat on 16 starts to come online. Could mean that the Devil's Rejects don't intend to pick up much extra stun support, because that's what the usual counter to Mal'Ganis is. Poseidon thinking about their next 2 picks. What do we got? Maybe the Uther Tyrael. Spicy stuff coming out here from Poseidon. The Jip Pew Pew, I mean, that's looking like a Greymane setup. Sylvanas is going to be locked in by Symbolic there. Uther Tyrael. I haven't seen that in ages. Hebrew Hammer going to lock in the Urel again here. It's got to be a Greymane, right? Unless it's a Butcher. What's it going to be from Le Dieu Pew Pew? Unless they're doing a hypercarry Falstad and they put in another healer. If you're going solo heal Uther with the Tyrael, that means you're trying to enable a dive. What do we got? Show me what you got, Poseidon. Gonna be Orphea. Orphea. Interesting. I mean, Orphea dishes out damage. Falstad dishes out damage. I guess they could be going... Maybe they're going for that old Judgment and Hinterland's Blast combo. Trying to fry Sylvanas or Li Ming. Okay, okay. Then what's the Uther for? Alright, Poseidon. I like the idea. I like the idea. Show me what you got here. Loading on into our game number 2. Devil's Rejects picking up a couple heroes in the Yrel Sylvanas from last game. Poseidon trying something new here. Excited to see how it works. Loading on in here to game number 2. On the left in the blue, it is the Devil's Rejects with Hebrew Hammer on the Yrel. Satan Saves playing Johanna. Lunatic is on the Stukov. Symbolic playing the Sylvanas. And Soldier of God, late to the bus on the Li Ming. On the right in the red, looking to claw their way back is Poseidon. Urdog is on the Gazlo. Penetrator on the Uther. Sketch playing the Tyrael. Le Dieu Pew Pew on the Orphea. And Rix playing the Falstad. Here we go. Game number 2 is underway. Uther going to be stacking the Qs with that Silver Touch on 1. Orphea working with the E-Quest, actually. Growing Nightmare. Chosen on level 1. Stukov with the Fetid Touch quest. We're trying to stack up those pustules. Sylvanas going with the Dagger. Lost Unfurling Shadows. They're on 1, so some good quests on either side. Hebrew Hammer with a big knockback on the Sketch and Rix there. Look at that dagger damage. Tyrael going to bring out the shields. Satan Saves is getting a little bit low here. And this brawl just continuing on here in the mid. Looks like Falstad is able to leak away here. Try to grab some of this XP. Devil's Rejects move on up to the top lane. The rest of Poseidon cleans up that second mid wave. Looks like we may have a 1-3-1 situation. Gazlo's up here in the top lane while Falstad is going to go versus this Yrel. We'll have to see if Gazlo does any sort of rotating or if Gazlo is just going to post up there. Looks like Gazlo is going to start to move around. Maybe thinking about it, can actually start... Both teams actually starting their siege camps here first. Doing a little bit of a split. That's a greedy play, actually. Coming out there from both squads. Usually we see the turret camp picked up at 1 minute and the siege camp picked up closer to the objective, but trying to jump right on top of those here. Devil's Rejects finished that first. They're going to use the Sylvanas to push in here and get some big value out of this siege camp. Satan Saves has the clear as well. Gazlo combo not going to land onto Symbolic. And now with the Merc Queen on 4 online, that camp going to be doing that much more damage here. And this top wall is being pressured very early on here. Satan Saves moving on up here to try to harass Poseidon. Camp is almost spent. Long distance bombs from Gazlo are enough to finally take down that camp. Falstad manages to get away there from the combo of Yrel and Li Ming. Quite the scuffle in the early going between our two squads. Usually Volskaya is known for a fairly passive early game. These teams are really mixing it up before level 7. Falstad now has a partial boomerang right from level 1, so that helps in the double soak possibilities. Objective is about to come up here. Sketch manages to move on and start the channel here for Poseidon. Looks like we are going to have a red point started up here as these teams seek out level 7. Yrel's moving up. Possibly? No, just ready. Just ready to move up from the bottom lane. Poseidon does have the timer ticking in their direction. Both teams trying to find their level 7s here. Urel's going to jump on in, but pre-7, really mixing it up in the early going. Erdog looks for a stun onto the back line, is going to find it onto Stukov as Satan Save's getting a little bit low. Has to move back. Hebrew Hammer going to be stunned and pushed back. Sketch managing to survive here. Both teams are going to use their turret, but Sylvanas is powering one over for the side of the Devil's Rejects. Falstad first to get picked off. Symbolic almost taken out there by Le Dieu Pew Pew, but Soldier of God with the zoning and Lunatic with the healing are going to be enough. The Devil's Rejects now control this point, taking out the opposing turret. Level 7s are here for both teams. Checking in on our level 1 quest. Stukov, 7 stacks currently. Sylvanas at 46. Falstad got the 7 stacks on that lightning rod. Uther now 29 out of 80 there for the Silver Touch. And Orpheus still looking to cash in that 1 stack quest there on 1. Now has the Chomp quest to do. They're on level 7. Satan Save's actually catching one. Legit Pew Pew trying to get healed up and shielded up. That's going to be barely enough. That was almost a quick pick there. The Devil's Rejects complete their channel. They're going to get the first objective of the game. That wall was taken down with extreme prejudice by the Devil's Rejects. And since they already got so much work done here... Oh, Falstad actually taken out on the edge there, just off screen. Nice snipe there by Soldier of God. With this top lane already so damaged, this fort could be in trouble here. Symbolic, gotta be careful with the targeting of that dagger spread, as that made the fort very angry. That fort can't be angry for too long as the Protector takes it down. There's still 20 seconds left. It's gonna move to the mid and see if it can get any more siege in. One clap on this cannon tower should do it. Clap and an auto. Clap and an auto. Wow, getting a ton of value here. Only 7 seconds on this Protector, and it's pretty low as well. They're going to start to back out, though it is Johanna Urel in there. So not exactly a difficult escape for those two heroes. Now we're sort of back to business here. Erdog and Legit Pew Pew working on this back right siege. And as well, Poseidon once again doing that double camp, taking the turret as well. Turret picked up here by the Devil's Rejects as they move down to the bottom lane. They have their level 10s. Sylvanas grabs this back camp here for the Devil's Rejects. With Sylvanas back there, they can't take a full engage with their level 10s, but they are going to go ahead and start this heal camp. Level 10 is about to be achieved here by Poseidon. Satan Saves, catches 4 there, actually. Mind Control onto Uther, that's a great pick there. The Devil's Rejects blowing up the solo Uther heals of Poseidon and moving forward onto Le Dieu Pew Pew, trying to move back with those Orphea Qs. Look at that, the Hinterlands Blast coming out, full reset, gonna go ahead and cast that again. Symbolic and Satan Saves trying to get away. Sylvanas is gonna go down here. Look at that, the turnaround triple kill. Rick's doing huge work with that Hinterlands Blast, and that's a triple for Poseidon. Now getting some siege in the top lane with this camp. Erdog, Sketch, and Le Dieu Pew Pew pushing on in. Rix is going to fly back and aid in this push as we see the Devil's Rejects starting to come back to full strength. Well, going to be taken out. This fort could be next. Poseidon absolutely storming the gates here. Mind Control, not going to land onto the back line, but there's the splash damage. Satan Saves with a huge blessed shield. Tyrael going to go down as Uther drops the Divine Storm. Tyrael is going to ghost onto 2, making that death timer just 15 seconds. Hebrew Hammer trying to catch up to Erdog. Nice stun there by Penetrator. Looks like it's going to secure the retreat of Poseidon. What a back and forth there. Satan Saves just making sure this top fort is indeed saved. Symbolic trying to finish this off. There's the Disintegration Beam from Soldier of God. One more. Mid fort has been taken out by the Devil's Rejects. Well done. Well done. Turret camp on the right side is in 25 seconds. So no steal opportunity there for the Devil's Rejects. Now push down this bottom lane. They're just moving us 5 right now. Huge Hinterlands Blast is going to land here. Still a 60-second cooldown onto Falstad. There's the Judgment from Sketch. Unfortunately, no combo available from Falstad as it was already used. Now we've got Protector B is starting to come up here. Soldier of God, who manages to back there. Right in the face of Poseidon. Picking up that turret. Same thing on the left-hand side. Satan saves and Lunatic going to go ahead and work on that one. Urel and Falstad getting the jump up to Protector Point B. Sylvanas is now up and ready to go. Level 13s are in for both sides as well, as they're trying to get all the camps off the map before they move on forward to this objective. Looks like Poseidon does have the camp advantage. Actually, Sylvanas, remembering, oh yeah, that was a thing. Soldier of God going to come back and help that out. Quickly take that for the Devil's Rejects. However, that means Poseidon gets to jump onto this point first and start up their channel. Looks like we could see another 5-on-5 here. Hebrew Hammer jumping in to get this clear. And now the Devil's Rejects looking for a way in. Soldier of God is going to just poke in with those magic missiles. Looking for a flank opportunity, just clearing that wave. Satan Saves has to pop the Iron Skin to get on out of there. Root Silence combo onto Urdog. There's the engage. Oh wow, big absorb there by Urel. The Hinterlands Blast comes out late. Satan Saves may not get out, though. Legit Pew Pew is on the chase. Tyrael's going to be the first to fall, though. Johanna going down as well as Gazlo. Symbolic gets the kill onto Uther, while Falstad gets the kill on the Sylvanas. Now Rix is on the chase, trying to get healed up by that Uther Ghost. That's a 3 for 2 for the Devil's Rejects, but they do give up this Protector. It looks like top fort going to go down here to the Protector of Poseidon. Man, back and forth in these fights, just a bloodbath every time these teams come together. Tyrael is back on the battlefield. Looks like all members of both teams are about to be back on the battlefield. Protector throwing out some damage on the way down to the bottom lane. But with no wave support and no friendly hero support, this Protector may not be around for long. Looks like it's going to get the clap here onto this wall. Symbolic is here to start putting out this damage. Protector getting pretty low on health. Going to start to move back. Oh no, Li Ming actually taken out there in the mid by Gazlo and Tyrael. Mind Control is there onto the Tyrael. Sketch knocked back by Hebrew Hammer. Judgment comes out onto Urel as Rick's trying to get the follow-up combo. Eternal Feast dropped as well, but Hebrew Hammer is going to survive. Poseidon with that pick in the mid. See what they can do with it here, but with this solo Uther heals, the Pew Pew has to be very careful. Level 16 is here for the Devil's Rejects, but they're down to Li Ming. Probably will not be able to contest this. Looks like they're going to go ahead and pick up their left side turret. Heal camp has been claimed by Poseidon. Right side turret could be the next for engagement here. Satan Saves is representing. The rest of the Devil's Rejects are here. Gazlo in that top lane is going to be a little bit late to this. Can Poseidon actually get onto this point? Hebrew Hammer going to jump forward, and there's a successful turret steal. Wait, what? How is this happening? Li Ming, I guess, comboed over the wall onto Falstad. I didn't even see Falstad was low. Blast cannon value, I guess? Someone clip that. I felt like it was off screen, but it also, based on the positioning, had to kind of be in the center of my screen, and I just blatant didn't see that. My goodness, Soldier of God finding the snipe there. Well done. Now clearing out the top lane is the Devil's Rejects. Tyrael thinking about moving in for this bottom fort. Falstad is up and ready to go. Sketch trying to get this party started. Got a big top lane push, though. Coming on in from the Devil's Rejects. They've got a camp coming in from behind. Sylvanas is going to get this started with the Black Arrows. Falstad gets the hit onto 2. Blessed Shield comes out. Gazloak in all sorts of trouble is going to be taken out by the last hit of Sylvanas. Oh, Symbolic, you got to be careful. Taking some big hits from that keep. But the Merc Queen still up and active as the Falstad once again falling out of nowhere. Sketch judges in onto Symbolic. There's the swipe from Lunatic. Am I Falstad blind? What's happening? 2 kills here for the Devil's Rejects. They may be looking to try to end this game right now. Uther drops the Divine Storm as Sketch manages to get away. Penetrator is going to get out of there. With 2 down and a camp here. Can they possibly look to end? It looks like they're going to think about it. Mind Control not going to land onto Le Duc Piu Piu. Satan saves, catches 2. There's the knockback from Hebrew Hammer. Oh, Orpheus caught out. That's going to be it for Le Duc Piu Piu. Penetrator pushed back into the base. Urdog is up and available. Core shielding is starting to fall here. Gazlow catches 1, but no combo to be had here. Soldier of God just wailing in with that disintegration beam. Penetrator is very low, going to get hit by the Arcane Orbit. Uther is going to fall here. Core is down to 70% as Rick's trying to work on this Hurel on the side. And the poke damage may be too much. Poseidon still trying to defend. Li Ming is taken out there by Falstad. The Hinterlands Blast is good, but the core is going to fall here. And the Devil's Rejects picking up a 2-0. Very well played. GG. Goodness gracious. I feel like I was just looking at the center of the screen, and then it was just Li Ming killed Falstad. I was like, where? What happened? And then it happened again. I was like, oh gosh, I'm going to have to go back and try to figure out what on earth happened there. But Devil's Rejects pick up the 2-0 victory. Symbolic playing the Sylvanas, leading the way on the hero damage there, 73,000. Rick's on the Falstad. Tough day at the office there versus the Glass Cannon or build Li Ming, but still managed to drop nearly 45,000 hero damage. Very nicely done. Take a quick look at our talent screen, and we'll see if we can get ourselves an interview with our victors. Alrighty. Let's head on over there. Anyone in the channel just yet? Alright. Let's see if we can get someone here from the Devil's Rejects. Alrighty, Satan saves. Thank you very much for joining me. Congratulations on the 2-0.
Thank you, sir. Thanks for casting.
My pleasure, my pleasure. Quite the series there. Let's look at Alterac Pass first, because it seemed like the fights weren't exactly going your way, yet the macro pressure you were able to create was just snowballing that game there. What were the comms like in terms of trying to get the advantages out on Alterac Pass?
Well, game 1 was a little rough. We didn't get a warm up, so we were kind of knocking the rust off. So we were struggling that early game. I know they like their wombos, so I was doing it on a larger, more macro-ish map to prevent team fight objectives.
Yeah, it looked like you were able to move around the map pretty effectively there. You even got some camp steals coming on out, some counter boss pressure. Looking very strong there. Looking good for sure.
Yeah, I messed up on that one boss call. I should have said go top. I seen them go top, and we should have went top because the bottom boss basically got nothing with the bottom boss when we should have went top. So that was a missed call on my part.
Yeah, luckily, I mean, we saw the boss. It was just going to go and smite itself upon the core there, but it did open up a pretty important null camp steal. As you made that play there, was that an invade? Were you expecting to find the enemy team there, or was that a play based on the vision you had on the bottom lane with that boss?
It was based on the vision. We seen them bot, and we know our wave clear was really fast, and we could knock it out and get out before throwing the advantage.
Okay, yeah, it was strong macro plays there for sure. One misstep on the boss, but ultimately bearing fruit and barreling down the core. Very nicely done indeed. Moving on to Volskaya Foundry, which is kind of the opposite of a macro map. So a bit of a different style there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Talk to me about Li Ming as a pick there. Kind of an old favorite on Volskaya, but a little bit of an unstandard build going for orb plus glass cannon.
Yeah, so like I said, they're team fighty. They go for their team fighty wombo comps. So I knew like the name of the game was Poke. So I trusted Soldier's decision in his Ming build. He only died twice, and he secured 6 kills and did about 76k damage.
Yeah.
So we went with the Poke and we went with the macro again to counter the wombo and the team fight on point.
I swear there were, I think it was 2 or 3 times I'm like staring at the center of the screen for a fight, and then just in the corner it says Ming killed Falstad. I was like, where?
Yeah.
I was like, am I blind? Am I not looking at the same game as what's being reported here? So I'm gonna have to go back and figure out where on earth that happened, but it happened like 2 or 3 times. Just super long range orbs.
Yeah, Soldier's really good at positioning to where you can't see him, and he's good at landing them orbs.
Very nicely done indeed. Yeah, talk to me a little bit about the bans there. We had the Mephisto Rhaegar banned in both games. I'm guessing that's just doing some research, seeing what the enemy team has been successful with.
Yes, sir. Yep. Watching their previous videos, they have a strong wombo with Mephisto's silence and stun, followed up with their wombo combo. They also run a really good bloodlust comp. So I know one player picks Raynor a lot, and so I was knocking out 2 comps that they're really good at, and trying to get them on something new.
All right, makes sense. Thought that might have been the case. Definitely once the second game draft came through, I was like, okay. The first one's maybe a Rhaegar map. The second one, not so much. So must have been some research done there for sure. All right, well, congratulations on the 2-0. Looking at the standings, that puts you pretty close to first place here. I'll have to see where Rise and Grind lands, but having a pretty good go here in the early going. How's it been feeling the first 4 weeks here?
It's been feeling great. Been feeling good. We still got kinks to work out, and unfortunately, we got a player that's going to be gone for the next 2 weeks. So hopefully, we can maintain the wins.
Well, you got the subs available. Hopefully, the team's able to adapt to the new player and then get back on track through the rest of the season. But you've got yourself a pretty good head start here on your way to the playoffs, to be sure.
Yes, sir. Yep.
All right. Well, Satan Saves, thank you very much for joining me. The floor is yours. Any shout-outs you'd like to make before we close things down here?
Yeah.
Oh, my bad. I just get so amped up for this. It's like the only reason I jump in the channel. I got to give a shout out to the moms, everyone who follows their team, all the whole, the mom family. Big shout out to them. The waifu, right? And the 2 kids, because they deal with me yelling at the computer. And everyone who has a mustache.
Yeah, shout out to you, Crushionaire. Thanks for casting. Everybody, subscribe to Cast. Pay your $3 a month or whatever it is. He takes his time out. He casts these matches for free. So go ahead and just subscribe. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much. All right, team. Thanks very much for coming on by. Congratulations on the win, and good luck going forward.
Dude, thanks.
Thank you.